didn't expect this. There are a lot of pros and cons about this movie, and I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys. I saw this movie multiple times just to be sure that my opinions don't change over time, because they do. And most of the time when I watch a movie for the first time, I might love it and then grow to hate it. But believe me when I describe what works and what doesn't for this movie, for this Mortal Kombat movie. To start this off, I'm just going to jump in and mention all the questions I had in mind while watching the film. Why did Sub-Zero not search for any survivors, seeing as it's important to him to eradicate Hanzo Asashi's bloodline, or his clan? I love the appearance of Quan Chi's amulet. It looks perfect. But the amulet is of great importance. That's not where you should place it. It was practically begging to be stolen. Did Kano even put it back? They cut away to progress the story after Liu Kang approached Kano and told him to put it back, but they didn't show him put it back. And if he didn't, then why would Liu allow it? Also, if Raiden was there, why the hell would he allow it to be placed out in the open? It looks like someone could just bump into it and break it. I like when Bi-Han says his name is Sub-Zero. There's nothing special about his dialogue, just that every other rendition of a live-action Sub-Zero has either not spoken, and when he does speak, he sounds like this.
What's the matter? Need some help getting up? Whoa!
I guess we can exclude Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat Conquest because he did a fine job himself. But it's nice to see that Sub-Zero is this cool again. Kano's intro was good. He's definitely the lovable character, and if anything, we all gotta thank the creators of this movie as well as the actor himself for making me and others finally feel like maining Kano in the games. Liu Kang's intro was great up until he launches a fireball at Kano and says he's not their enemy.
I'm Liu Kang, from the Shaolin Order of Light.
I don't think that's how you make friends, Liu. Meet your girlfriend's parents like that. See how that turns out. But you know what? I can roll with this version of Liu Kang. He reminds me of Liu Kang from MK Shaolin Monks.
You're beautiful. Who are you?
Kung Lao's intro was awesome. It was cheesier than Cheetos, but that's what I love about Mortal Kombat. Hats off to that Shaolin monk. Although I was wondering, why didn't his hat leave a mark on Sub-Zero? The movie includes an original character named Cole. The character Cole was included to have the audience feel like they have someone to relate to. This is a normal concept that's worked for other franchises. The 2009 Ghostbusters video game features all 4 Ghostbusters and an original character for fans to relate to. If it was accepted by fans there, then why can't fans accept poor old Cole over here, right? Maybe it doesn't help that his special power is plot armor. With me, I didn't have a problem with Cole being in the movie, simply because if I have to relate to anyone in this movie, it would have to be the guy with a family in present day time. Right, Mitz? What's most important about this OC character is that he's not OP. He's not a Gary Stu like most OCs. He has to train throughout the movie to keep up with everyone. He doesn't put any of our favorite characters to shame, except for Goro. In fact, one of my favorite scenes is when he comes up with a strategy to get a fair fight against Shang Tsung's fighters. Since Raiden can teleport anyone anywhere, he arranges them all to fight in separate locations, and this is where it comes closer to the MK tournament that fans wanted to see. I do wonder though, if you could create your own OC Mortal Kombat character, what would he look like and what special power would you give him? Give me some examples in the comments, because maybe we can give the creators of the movie some better examples. Cole could have also easily been Johnny Cage. I didn't have a problem with any of the main characters. They all acted exactly like they do in the video games, to be honest.
I was on fire.
Burned to a crisp you were. Good thing I found you.
I'm hideous.
Shang Tsung's magic healed the rest of you, but your lungs...
Take it off.
Can't. It's permanent.
What?
No mask, no breathing.
I'm a freak.
Go on, give him a whirl.
I don't use those anymore.
Yeah, you're all proper police now. The Black Dragon ain't the same without you, mate. You should come back. We're in the money on this war.
How you holding up?
I'm fine.
Liar. After I get you to base, I'm coming back. Kano's still here somewhere.
Your obsession with him is gonna get you killed.
I trusted him,
Yeah, we all did.
but I was the one he used.
Johnny Cage. Lay it on me, Raiden. Bow, you idiot.
I don't like the inclusion of the tattoos though. It reminds me of when MK Annihilation did this with most of the characters. It felt pointless and unnecessary to include them. But I think the creators must have included it just to try and make sense of why they're each able to have their unique abilities from the games. Now, in order to achieve their powers, they need to unlock it. They must feel their animality. The introduction of superpowers is bad, but I'll take it over no powers for the human characters. Also, I believe this happened in one of the Malibu comics. I gotta double check my facts here, but I could have sworn that somewhere this is how their powers were brought up, and I think it was with the Malibu comics. The Easter eggs were great. They weren't distracting. I can't complain about the ones I noticed. 2 thumbs up with that. I don't think you can blame Kano for being a bad guy here as well. Look at how everyone introduced themselves to him.
Okay, that's far enough, MC Hammer. I'm not your enemy.
I didn't really like this Raiden either. His appearance is okay, but his personality is, well...
He's an asshole.
Shang Tsung in this movie just doesn't appear threatening to me. That wig is too obvious, so that doesn't help. And that outfit, it belongs in Mulan 2020. And so does the actor's performance. I wonder why they chose him though. I just hope that this is the old version of Shang Tsung, and in the sequel they can use a different actor. One that does make Shang Tsung appear threatening. Nitaro's in the movie. I can't complain with her appearance. It's not 100% accurate, but it's not too far off either. She has her wings, which is important to include if you're going to put Nitara in the movie. Unfortunately, they didn't utilize her well enough at all. And like with Shiva in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, she gets killed off as quick as she arrived. It's a damn shame. She's one of my favorite MK characters. Nitara's demise was a good finisher, but did she have to be killed off without a fight? I was looking forward to seeing how a vampire with wings would fight like. Cabal is also in the movie, and I think they did an excellent job with his character and design. He looks and acts exactly how he should.
Oh, you looking good.
Rico's appearance here ain't too bad. I love the inclusion of that giant hammer, but why did they portray him as some buff idiot? I hate that because it would have been cool to see this extremely buff Rico with the personality of his video game counterpart. In the games, people wondered if Rico was secretly Shao Kahn, and although he wasn't, he did want to replace him. And it was even mentioned that he would secretly wear Shao Kahn's mask. So seeing that this Rico is holding this hammer and looks like Shao Kahn's hammer as well, including his bulky posture, then, well, you see what I mean? This could have led up to something more, something clever. But they treated him like some random bodyguard and was sadly wasted. But what can we expect when they choose this actor to portray him? They're always typecasting him as some brainless meathead. Just imagine if he had the personality of a strategic leader like he is in the games and comics. Major missed opportunity here. Goro was in the movie, and he was one massive disappointment. He loses to the new kid on the block, and since he's just CGI, well, we can't expect a kick-ass fight scene with him. It would have been amazing if they created their own animatronic Goro with practical effects and only used CGI for the things that cannot be done with practical effects, like giant leaps or fast combos. But who knows if that'll ever happen nowadays, right? Cole's ability is the living embodiment of plot armor. I hate it. And I completely understand why everyone is pissed off at the inclusion of this character. Jax's suit upgrading on its own is his superpower? That's dumb. Very dumb. But what's dumber? That this is his ability, or that a handful of monks underground just so happen to know how to build mechanical arms on an armless human? But if you ask me, in what world would this ever be possible? Well, I'd say only in the world of Mortal Kombat. That's the only cheesy world where it would allow such logic. I hate that they used the worst design of Reptile in the games, that being the Deadly Alliance version, and I hate it because it just looks like a reptile standing on 2 feet. It's a little derpy. So I was hoping that Reptile would morph into his ninja form. However, I have seen plenty of live action ninja Reptile versions on screen, so I can accept that this change was made, because at least this Reptile did leave a great impression on what it'd be like to fight a foe that spits acid and can turn invisible. Ninja Reptile barely did that in the live action versions that I've seen. Why does Kung Lao get his soul sucked without a fight? He's strong enough to stop Shang Tsung, and he wasn't even out of breath either. I mean, he just eliminated Nitara without a fight. He's got a full life bar. How did Sonya instantly learn her ability off screen? Melina's appearance, it's okay. It's kind of weird seeing her first before Kitana though. Kitana wasn't in this movie, so I think they should have gone with a different villain like Kira. Kira uses 2 blades. It wouldn't be much of a difference in choreography. Aw, Melina. Why did you stab him on his plot armor instead of the back of his head? You would have been the fan favorite character by now. You two could have gotten a flawless victory here. The fight scenes in this movie were spectacular. The introduction of the movie, I loved it. It was great. It gets better when you rewatch it too. Also, Jax versus Sub-Zero, oh my god, amazing. The lead up to the fight was good as well. Jax's face should have been cut up and bruised before he lost his arms, but that's like the only complaint, the only nitpick I could think of. Everything else was just a good build-up. It was a good fight, good choreography and everything. The end result, oh my god, that was amazing. It was awesome when Sub-Zero used his sword to slide it on the ground and freeze Scorpion that way. I'd like to see that special move in the games. It's creative. When Sub-Zero removed his armor after a shoulder plate was broken off, great execution. I love battle damage, so that's like attention to detail there. There are no stages from the games here, but the final stage taking place on a frozen MMA gym, I liked it. Again, it's creative, and it wasn't a fucking green screen. In fact, I commend the filmmakers for how they built most of these sets. I hate when everything is just one giant green screen. Anyone can just afford a big fucking green mat. So even if this final fight isn't taking place in an iconic Mortal Kombat location, this set design is good enough for me. For Mortal Kombat representation, great job. I also can't forget about mentioning the music. The score that played when Hanzo crawled towards his child was genuinely heartfelt. I think the composer for the tracks that played during fight scenes tried to blend techno with dubstep for a few tracks, and I did get that feeling of playing a retro fighting game, so good job there as well. At the end of the movie, they teased that Johnny Cage will be in the next movie. I heard why Johnny wasn't in this movie, and according to an interview, they didn't want the main character to be a white guy. I don't get it, because the movie does end with teasing the appearance of Johnny for the next film, so did the creators change their mind? I do wonder what the film would have been like if there were 2 wisecrackers in the movie, a good guy and a bad guy. It might have worked, but then again, it might not. A lot of people were saying that Scorpion should have been the main character, but I gotta disagree there. Even though I'm a big fan of Scorpion, he can't be the main character. He can't die. There wouldn't be any stakes if the protagonist had thicker plot armor than Cole's armor. But now that I've expressed my pros and cons about the movie, let's debunk some of the stupid complaints I've heard from most reviews. Because we gotta be deeply honest with this, you know. Here's one. That the movie doesn't have any big name actors. Oh, God. I'm sorry. That's a complaint? Huh? How is it a problem? Do big name actors have to be in every movie in order to be criticized fairly? So none of these actors deserve a chance because they're not famous?
Are you fucking retarded?
Here's another. They say that the reptile fight was boring and lame because most of the time they were fighting an invisible opponent. But what I got out of that scene was a perfect demonstration of what Reptile would be like if he took advantage of his abilities such as being invisible and using that acid spit. I hate that he didn't fight as a ninja and they killed him off in the first appearance, right? Especially since he's supposed to be the first game's secret deadly character. Again, there were some good executions and bad executions. But I can't ignore the good ones. The fact that the story is not taking place during the tournament, that is said to be a big problem. But really, does that really change a thing? Think about it. Does it really matter that the tournament did not occur? Because last time I checked, not a single tournament in any Mortal Kombat game, including every other fighting game that has a tournament, none of them have ever taken place at a tournament arena the entire time. It's not a big deal that the movie did not revolve around a tournament. No Mortal Kombat game has ever taken place in a tournament arena the entire time. They always move around to give you different locations. Every fight takes place in a completely separate location. The first fight could take place in a courtyard, the next could take place in an island, and the third could take place in a desert. You see what I mean? It's understandable when games and movies do this. You don't want to see the entire movie take place in the same exact spot. Well, the same goes for a game. That's why you have many different choices of locations, and it's not just the same exact arena. Otherwise, it would be boring. When it comes to a movie based on Mortal Kombat, I personally just want to see the Mortal Kombat characters appear. I want to see them act like they do in the OG games. I want to see them pull off the finishing moves and special abilities that they do in the games. And for a movie, give me some special practical effects, creative set designs, and don't overuse CGI and green screens. Make the fight scenes well choreographed. Show me something new. And do not include your political agenda or anything woke in this movie. Thankfully, they didn't do that. And for everything I was asking for, I think I got enough of that. The way everyone seems to be approaching this movie is as if the game story itself was a masterpiece. But people seem to forget that the story of Mortal Kombat was only created to give the video game characters a purpose to why they are fighting. It was just a fighting game. Every game needs a plot. They threw one in to quickly explain what's going on, and each character has to be unique, so they each get their own special moves. And the game is unique for its violence in fighting games. The story grew interesting over time, but it was just a simple tournament game when it first begun. But again, it was just a tournament where every fight did not take place in the same arena. So for me, when it comes to a Mortal Kombat film, just give me kick-ass fight scenes with characters that look and act like their video game counterparts, and include violence that the games are known for, which they did. And of course include their special abilities, and again, thankfully they did. Most complaints revolved around Cole. I completely agree with that. But look at the bright side. At least he wasn't a Gary Stu. He actually had to train and get better. That's something we can't say about most fan-made original characters, right? His inclusion in the movie wasn't as annoying as everyone puts him out to be. They say that the movie mainly concentrates on him, and I feel like it wasn't that way. It didn't look that way at all. Like in a minute or two, he's already gone, and they're already concentrating on another character. There were a good majority of characters in this movie, and most of them were given a good amount of dialogue, and even those with less dialogue had some personality. I can't speak for Rico and Reptile though. They really missed out on giving them some personality. You want to talk about a bad MK movie adaptation we could have gotten? Just take a look at the trailer for Mortal Kombat Rebirth. That is what I would consider a horrible take on a live-action MK film. They tried making everything realistic as possible, and I mean everything. No outworld, no special powers, no sorcery. Just realistic, boring take on what Mortal Kombat would be like if it was just completely grounded to reality. Fucking stupid, right? And yes, that was stupid. You can't take something that revolves around fantasy and expect that movie to satisfy the fans without anything that relates to fantasy. Just straight realism. That's it. Yeah, take anything. Take Harry Potter if you want. Make that grounded as fuck. See how that turns out. So as stupid as it was for some of these characters to unlock their abilities, it doesn't fully bother me because they're at least becoming accurate characters to the video game versions I know of. One guy said that when Scorpion shows up at the end, he completely dominates the fight against Sub-Zero, and I mean, are we watching the same movie here? Scorpion literally had to pull a tag team mode against Sub-Zero after fighting him alone for a bit. And this is what I mean when I say that I think people are purposely bashing the movie because it's the majority opinion. By now, there are stacks of rant videos calling this movie worse than MK Annihilation. And honestly, I can't jump on that bandwagon. This movie's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. It's not going to win any awards, but I wouldn't mind rewatching this film many times. Something I cannot do for a lot of current films these days. When it comes to the character abilities, we never knew how characters were capable of performing certain special powers. So the fact that we got a shitty explanation here, it doesn't bother me because it's better that they at least have them over not having them at all because there's no logical way to explain most of the things these characters can do. So it's like a double-edged sword with Mortal Kombat. You either don't explain how characters can perform these projectiles and finishing moves, or you make up a reason and hope that everyone buys it. The worst option is to not include them. So maybe we should be grateful that they did? I don't think this movie was meant to be a prequel to the first tournament, as a lot of people would say. I think this was a way to alter the events of the first game. Remember, the first 2 games were the only ones where there was a tournament. In the third game, they were all just fighting for the sake of stopping Shao Kahn's invasion on Earth. That was the same thing for the second game, but the invasion would be declared with the results of that tournament. So it wouldn't really be that interesting if the first film was based on the tournament and then the second film was based on the tournament again. See what I mean? You gotta alter a few things to make the story interesting. Otherwise, you're just repeating the same plot all over again. And even though it can work, it's a lot harder to keep the audience interested. I went into this movie after already seeing tons of negative reviews and videos pointing out everything wrong with it. So I knew what to look forward to. I expected a train wreck, but I feel like the positives outweigh the negatives. I don't know if I can judge any other movie this way and still be okay with these end results, but for a movie based on Mortal Kombat, I enjoyed what I saw here. It's not perfect, there are some things I wish they had done differently, big time, but it's not bad enough to straight up claim that it sucks ass and other movies did it better. I understand the problems with the movie, I agree with some of the complaints, but not all of them, mainly because it seems like most people are just trying to bash it for the sake of bashing it. I don't think this movie should be hated this badly because I highly doubt that any future Mortal Kombat film will ever be this close to giving us what we actually want to see in a live action MK film. In the end, I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I'm not sure which one I like more between this one and the original 1995 version. I gotta give it some time for that answer. What I really hate is that fans bash the fuck out of this movie because I don't think it deserves that much hate. For a movie based on MK, in my opinion, the pros outweigh the cons here. But because it got so much hate, we can't look forward to a sequel. And if one ever does come out, they're gonna try to please the audience by throwing in a bunch of dumb stuff no real fan would want to see in theaters. And it might just get the same embarrassing treatment that the latest Star Wars sequels got. I believe that in 20 years, around 20 years, this movie will age greatly. I know, funny, right? If we can love movies like Big Trouble in Little China, I think people will find a soft spot for this movie sometime in the future.
I choose Fujin. He will guide the mortals of Earth as they move into the next millennia.
Hello, stranger. Welcome to the store piano. We've got the iconic grin as well as the new lime green logo in store for you. And for a limited time, you can purchase the Yuri vs. Joe knockout item. It's available as a t-shirt including stickers, all for a very low price. This one's based on the Resident Evil 3 mobile game called Resident Evil The Missions. And this one I like to call the Jill Manwich. It's my blend of the two things I love in this world, Jill and memes. And don't worry about the prices. They're as low as they can be. Yup, I'm barely making any profit. But, the important thing is that you don't need to spend too much to look good in a groovy lime green logo. So get yourself a Jill Manwich t-shirt or any of these luxurious and spunky designs. And wear them with pride.
Yeah, wear them with pride.
Trust me, anyone sees you wearing one of these and they'll immediately think, which translates to,
this guy, this is my kind of guy.
Now, over at my Patreon, I'm working on some secret projects. So if you'd like to have access to some of these never-before-seen videos, including updates and concept art from a comic book I'm working on, based on Resident Evil Outbreak, then my Patreon's got you covered. I'll be updating everyone there with exclusive videos and newer art panels so you can see how far that project progresses over time. It's going to be the first comic book I create and I'm putting as much effort as I can into it. So I do feel confident about that project alone. You might also be glad to know that I've started narrating the S.D. Perry novel of Resident Evil The Umbrella Conspiracy as part of the Patreon exclusives, and there will be a new video based on each chapter every week. So don't miss out on any of these, my fellow jabronis. That's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to give this video a chance to grow. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for their impeccable generosity. Your support means a lot to me, and you are part of the reason why I try to make the best content that I can. And if you like this content, check out the rest of my channel. You'll find more entertainment from separate franchises I like to cover, such as Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, Celebrity Deathmatch, Men in Black, The Mask, Batman comics, The Terminator, TMNT, Dino Crises, Resident Evil, and more. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out my exclusive videos such as the Gantz content. And if you'd like to show your support, go to my Patreon and support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.